activities of this afternoon.
Good evening. I'm using for all, I think it's Weber. Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, good afternoon. It's my privilege to be here today to discuss some very important topics that concern Africa as a whole in terms of BFM and related issues. There are a lot of finance problems that need our attention, and it's important that we address them together one by one. This topic, future-proofing Africa public finance workforce, navigating skills and competence and digital ages, is a big topic. We can divide by two parts. One is public finance workforce, and the other one is skills for digital age. So my conclusion is this before I invited the lecturers. In my conclusion, we hope this conference will be productive, and we look forward to hearing everyone's thoughts, because only if we work together we'll solve these issues. Before I invite my guests, I want to introduce I'm lucky today. I was invited, Colonel Carl, the only military dress man in front of us. So I want to summarize what he's doing more here. Colonel Nobel Carl De Alorsa is a military professional with experts in leadership and governance, training, peacekeeping, public finance, and accounting. He is the chief coordinator of the Ghana Military Academy, where he leads a team of directors and other staff in delivering impactful training and young officers for our armed forces. Beginning with the officer training at the Ghana Military Academy and the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, UK, his over 25 years of military career covers various combat, command, and administrative roles, these including teaching roles in jungle warfare, school, and Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College. He was a chief instructor at the Ghana Military Academy in 2021, and he is the director of training of the Ghana Army in 2022. The operation officer in the Social Operations Unit, National Revenue Watchdog at the Office of the President also in 2012. The first operation officer for the Operation Vanguard National Joint Task Force in 2017. Before I'm going to second part, I want to welcome Colonel Carl Nobel to the stage. Please, welcome.
our very distinguished accountant generals from across the continent, able deputies and support staff, other participants, special appreciation to the organizers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege and a humbling one for me to have your audience, and I want to greet you. Good afternoon. Today, we have had to handle a topic that I have always been passionate about, which is future-proofing Africa's public finance workforce. And it is meant to reawaken in us some sense of urgency towards navigating the skills, ethics, and competencies in this digital age. I am sure that this subject comes to most of us as quite distant, because although we handle computers every day, those of us accountants, we tend to be a bit of a boring group of people who are not fast-paced following a lot of things, because we spend most of our best times of the day in the office cranking figures, making decisions, and concepts like this tend to overtake us because they come as a one-off event that you make decision over and it goes. Hence, in my introduction, I must mention that looking at it as a public finance management matter, our systems in public finance management in Africa, and I'm sure all of you would agree with me, have seen rapid transformation and increased demand to further strengthen standards that we have managed to set so far in recent years. And perhaps more than anywhere else, we have been under pressure to give off standards that are considered very high in terms of ethics, in terms of conduct, and in terms of equitable application of resources. At times, when you stand on the side and you look at the people who are in the center of public financial management, you tend to feel as if they are under too much pressure to do so much with so little. However, over time, it will be clear that the world is moving so fast that a lot of things that our young people do these days appear to us as if toy games. But when a young man tells you that I just made $2,000 in the past 5 minutes, it sounds awkward. And for you in the space of governing public financial management and public resources, you get more confused, because if that young person was your ward, you'll be waiting every day for the next day he was going to be arrested for breaking one law or another. The secret is that he's sitting in your house in Ghana, in Togo, in Benin, and he's trading on the New York Stock Exchange because his phone is a computer that is plugged in to what is in the digital age that we are in is more enormous than the eye can see. In doing this, I am going to cover our transitional process in accountancy, the existing sectors that we work with, the significance of digitization to us today and tomorrow, the structure of professionals in the public finance management space, and then I will shed a little light on what we call the digital age or the information age and its opportunities for public finance. I will speak briefly about a few challenges of the digital age, and then I'll say the possibilities that we have, and then by this time I hope that your mind will be ready for us to look at the approaches we can use to actually future-proof the force. Let me quickly share a few caveats. Being accountants, I would like to dispel a few assumptions that a lot of people have. And the first one is that accountants in our private sector and our public sector have similar traits, similar training, similar capabilities. As much, it does not necessarily imply that the accountants that we find in private sector are better trained or were the best. Because whilst preparing for this, I did a research to see the input figures. And from the graduation of Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, I noticed that we have an equitable number of professional accountants when they graduate that go into public sector as they go into private sector. The top class is divided somewhere close to the center, and hence if public sector is not making impact, then it is on us and not on the products we take in. It's not because we are not taking in the best accountants, but it's because maybe we are not using what we have well, which the digital age provides for us. I also wish to indicate that the accountants that's the sector, because we trained in the same schools, we were classmates with them, we did every examination with them, and in most cases, we actually even beat them. The only reason why some of us chose to be in public sector is, for instance, I cannot imagine though, as a fellow of ACCA and all the other funny things that I add to my name, how to transition from this job I do as a military colonel to become a civilian who is sitting in one boring office. Because whatever you say, although the income levels are nothing comparable, I am on the lower end, they are on the higher end. I will not sacrifice this for anything. And that is what ACCA Insights research revealed, that certain people who answered questions like this in East and Southern Africa indicated, for instance, that my father was in public service, my grandfather was in public service, and I want to pay my quota. Forget about the money, I want my country to be better. And hence, that assumption dispels the fact that they are better than us, we are better than them. That does not exist. Then finally, I want to make an assumption that the situation we find here in Ghana is similar, almost the same as we find in other countries. And hence, when I make a categorical statement with boldness, you would notice that it will be a give and take, a few percentages, of course, but I am hoping that we'll pay attention to the bare facts. So now let's begin. The history of accountancy started way back. Some 50 years ago is when the changes began, because as at that point, we started producing chartered accountants and all the sort, but we were still doing manual work, bookkeeping, using ledgers, using journals, debit the receiver, credit the giver, that kind of thing. Over time, our work now shifted with the entrance of computers. Just after the 50 years ago, we started going to do spreadsheets that could do funny and strange things for us. So we were shifting slowly to computers. And then they brought in the enterprise resource planning systems, which now integrated various aspects. One system could have this thing or that service or this service or that service combined. But where do we find ourselves today? Today we find ourselves at the point where the enterprise resource systems provided a basis for building AI-supported applications that appear to be going into other areas, researching information and importing them into your workspace. And it is a bit clumsy if you were not ready for it. Unfortunately, we have leaders who are still baby boomers. And if you are a baby boomer, it suggests that you were born, excuse my language, way before computers. So we have this difficulty of adjusting to it. Hence, the role of the accountants back in the 50 years ago started with us ensuring that our accounts complied with regulation locally. And then as we developed, these regulations developed into what we call international financial reporting standards and the like, various arcane provisions that ensure that compliance and the development progressed appropriately. But by the time ERPs came in place, our job was beginning to look confusing. In fact, at the advent of this century, professional accountants were very worried they were about to lose their jobs because computers had begun to do things that we thought that when it develops further, we would be left back. It is only now that we have come to the yawning discovery that whatever you do, as a chartered accountant, I don't foresee a computer doing everything I can do, because when the computer is done, I can still see a fault based on the fact that the computer lacks emotional inputs, the computer lacks certain adjustments that I can do. So our job went from there to today, where you enter the boardroom, and once they hear you are an accountant, or a professional accountant, a chartered accountant, a management accountant, everybody in the boardroom expects that when you open your mouth, you'll be able to speak like a prophet. Give them foresight. By the figures, this is where we are going, and that is where we are going. So today we are expected to effectively blend the roles of finance and deal with strategy whilst playing with data. And then we are also measured on the fact that we must maintain high ethics. So if you ask me, it is good that we have a unified professional standard globally, because for most of our professional bodies, they every day are actually trying to prop us up. And I found my professional body, ACCA, do that very often. It's like their motto is look ahead. And so every day, they start dealing with you on issues before they actually come. So 6 years or 7 years ago, I participated in CPDs where I was assured that AI and machine learning, which was very well explained to me, was not about to do what I was doing, because now I was supposed to interpret and speak the language of recommendation with professionalism and effect so that strategic decisions can be made. Let's go. How then did we come to this point where there has been so much difference? When you enter any of the big four, or most of the private organizations that are in accountancy, and especially those that are global based, everything is inside the computer. But when we come to our offices in public sector, everything is outside the computer. And without mincing words, I am sure that the first time I entered one of those places, I asked myself that, why these guys, don't they rest? Because at 2000 I entered an office, and because at 2000 it was 0800 hours in New York somewhere, or somebody else in some global office was supposed to have a meeting, somebody was very comfortably sitting in his office. So globalization has actually helped most of the private sector, even in Africa, to speed up, to the point where I can comfortably dare to say that the penetration of digitization in private sector may possibly be twice what we have in public sector. We have boring enterprise resource application systems, some of them that our leadership themselves, except those of us in accounting, do not even understand and cannot relate with. And even those of us in accounting still have difficulties dealing with these things, because it's as if the system that has been put in place for a few years ago, is so boring to interact with, too difficult to work with, because public sector is just not keeping up. On the contrary, our colleagues in private sector can work while sitting with you at coffee on his phone. We'll begin a conference right in the main system of their organization. And then you ask, what is bringing this difference? What is bringing the difference is that in private sector, they are profit focused. So one company has to win against the other at all costs. And hence, their global headquarters in the developed north insist that they are benchmarked on the same levels. What is different is that their focuses are efficiency-driven, and they are given targets. See, people in private sector are always giving targets, and you see they are stressing. And because of that, they have to find their system catching up. So the IT component of those organizations are moving along with the world. What is different is that they are competitive and their innovation is intensive. What is different is that they have opened their hearts and are rapidly adopting automation and analytics. But what are we doing in the public sector? So for those of us in the public sector, don't have such a high measure because stewardship on resources, yeah, you did it, you did not achieve it. Would they kill me? To citizens and not shareholders. Interestingly, when they ask, how is this thing going? Some people even dare to say, my friend, shut up. You are not even in the office where I am doing this job. You will not understand. But they want to know and they need to know. We are policy driven, a bit bureaucratic at that. Our processes are slower, although our impact is supposed to be larger. Unlike the private organizations that are looking at small projects at a time, we are looking at entire populations. If you are talking about the Accountant General of Ghana, you are talking about Ghana geographically across. Everybody somewhere from, what do you call it, Hamile to Mu, across, down to Labadi. Everybody is depending on Accountant General Ghana to flow as far as the public sector is concerned. So we don't have one small project at a time like they have. But digitization means transparency. We are still not fighting for our systems to be integrated in the public finance management system. And hence, we are denying ourselves real-time data and the privilege of reduced leakages. That, or those, if I may say, are some of the reasons why it appears that they are up there and we are down here. And that is the crux of our discussion today. So in comparing, the existing sectors of accountancy require the building of a public finance management network or workforce which is capable of understanding and controlling the digital space. What am I talking about? The digital space today is not as simple as what we have in public finance management sector or what we have in private sector anymore. There is a third, smoky, unknown leg to our digital finance environment. The unregulated, the informal digital environment. That environment covers people who trade on their phones, buy and purchase things across the world. You cannot regulate them easily because they don't even account in any direct measure when Visa makes the payment. We are talking about people who are sitting in their bedrooms and doing cryptocurrency transactions or other non-fungible currencies that are created, and when you listen to them, it sounds like this must definitely be a deception. But then the young man can prove to you that he just went online and traded crypto and made $1,000 after 2 hours, and he can bring the $1,000 out and give it to you. We are also talking about major movements in deep web and dark web. May I digress a few seconds? What me and you deal with every day is what we call the World Wide Web is actually the surface of everything. We are seeing nothing. You need to be trained to be able to go into the places where transactions are actually taking place. Have you not wondered why these days our drug dealers are no longer being caught carrying $5 million, carrying $10 million? They caught a boat and it was carrying $5 million. You don't hear that anymore. That is because our drug dealers have gone deep into the web. Beyond what, or beneath what we see as the World Wide Web is a deep web. And beyond the deep web, there are those who can crack and enter the dark web. That is where cross-border transactions of the criminal type are taking place. That is where drug payments are taking place. That is where illicit trades are taking place. But me and you are staying, in fact, we are further than the surface, because the public finance digitization level has not been able to go deep to that point. Now, there is my question. By my training as a military officer, I have commanded troops for the past 30 years. And there's one thing I've learned about controlling or commanding a unit, a person, an environment, or a space. It requires that you, the one who is able to control or command, should have the source of the best information, should have the best knowledge base, should have the best research available, and the most current, so that nothing surprises you when you find yourself in combat, having to deal with the fiercest of opponents. So, public financial management is the controller, is the supervisor, and is supposed to control private sector. What do we see today? Today, what we see is that we are struggling a little in public sector, and then a private organization, one of the big four or anyone that is racing very quickly beside them, now comes to you and says, "Ali, we want to help you build capacity in IT." And they gracefully do that because they are sure that they are on the ball. But we also gracefully accept because we are far from holding the ball. And that is why it is very important for us to attempt, if not achieve, building a workforce that is digitally mastered to be able to take us into the next generation. Otherwise, in a few years to come, we'll sit in our controllers' offices and have no idea what is happening, because the unregulated economy is becoming bigger and is moving resources more than the regulated economy. So this digitization we are talking about, what are the benefits or how significant is it to us? Digitization means automation of repeated tasks. And that means that the tasks that were supposed to be done by 100 people because it was so much paper that needed to be recorded, there are ways that this information is collected to make it faster available to you. Our professional accountants, our leading accountants, our decision-making accountants. Demand, therefore, is very high for higher level skills as we are in the digital age, because now, for you to be able to clench a job that you comfortably would say you are there, you must be able to analyze, you must be able to interpret, you must be able to make decisions. The most difficult of it is that these days, there are resources that support these things. So that anytime you meet a young man and tell him, "Young man, I'm having this problem," he says, "Give me a moment, sir." He turns on his phone and gives you an answer. At times I stop and I say, because to be frank with you, I myself do not like this digitization a lot, because it has made my life very difficult. So I have two young men here today who are, I just tell them, "Look, I'm tired of producing PowerPoint. Go and do it." So, sir, there's an app. All you need to do is to put the words in, and then in a few seconds, believe me, it's difficult even to learn how to manage that app. And however, the truth today is that we, the baby boomers, and the people born before computer are in leadership. We have to leave a legacy. And that is the crux of my discussion today. What legacy would you leave? You should be able to leave a legacy so that that deputy of yours, or that deputy's deputy, or that second generation after you in your accountant general's office, when you have stepped out comfortably and everybody glorifies you for your achievement because you, the leaders today, have depended on a lot of institutional knowledge because you were there when most of the policies we are running today were produced and you supported their making. So you are the wisest. But they do not have the privilege of that. They will not have that time and they will not have that exposure. So we need to prepare the workforce that is coming after us into the next part of the digital age. Now, in the digital age, data is a new material and we need to use it to be able to perform, make decisions as quickly as possible and as well as possible. We also, please can you go back? We also need to balance these efforts with a strong ethical and governance around digitization. We have to, in leadership now, try to embrace the concept of digitization. Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's a bit tiring for us who are advanced, but please, if you can kill yourself a little, begin to look into those computers yourself. Instead of asking, go into the computer, find out what is there and come and tell me. Begin to show a little interest so that you can ask the questions and be able to relate when the younger ones say, please, can we invest a little more into this thing? So what is the structure of the professionals in public finance management we have today? We are divided into three main groups, and in my discussion today, I'm going to follow that at the strategic, at the tactical, and the operational level. At the strategic level, you, the senior leaders and the senior professionals, have served 20 to 40 years over in those systems, and that is why I actually know that at times some of these things you have heard it over and over and over and over again. But today, let me say that you need to take it a little more seriously, because if you do not take any major measures anytime soon, your offices will collapse at the speed at which the young folks are doing business that is unregulated. You can't tax them, you can't control them, you can't control the movement of funds across the borders. These days, young people are getting money and you can't explain where they are getting it from, because we do not have the knowledge to regulate the space. But we need to at least attempt and begin to think about the future. We are privileged, the strategic level, we are privileged to have institutional memory and policy understanding, like I indicated. The policies, you made them anyway. And oftentimes, we are slower as adopters of new technology because the processes are moving too fast for our understanding. Every day they bring a new equipment and a new technology and tell you, sir, this is now how things are done. And they say, but just last 2 months you came and told me something else. Yes, that is because they have just commissioned a new product and it is 10 times better than what they showed you last 2 months. And so we need to begin to embrace it and make sure that even though we don't like it very much, it is too much fast pace for me, like those of us in the senior leadership. We have to find a way to embrace it. So our challenge mainly for the strategic level generally is how to update and create a legacy of knowledge that fits the digital systems. But the digital systems, as we speak now, have bypassed us in public finance management. The second group, which is the mid-level, are the tactical managers. And they are the ones that translate between the old systems and the new systems. So usually when you find yourself in a room with a young man who speaks very fluently about one very funny concept, and you are just about to say that, hey, young man, you are just about to defraud me, there is this younger fellow than you who says, sir, I've seen it done. It is true. He's not actually defrauding you. This is the truth. Those are the people who connect us to the realities we have today. They are the operational bridge between strategy and our execution, what we say and what they do. Because now execution is more in the systems than we can imagine. They are the ones that have struggled to be strong enough technically, but are facing a fast evolving digital age. Their challenge is managing to stay ahead. The truth about the guys beneath us, those of us in the strategic level, is that these tactical operators or leaders actually do understand what is happening in the digital age, and they are frustrated at what they are finding because they find themselves actually unable to respond to it, and they have to grapple with it. And when they think about the future of what they see today, it is very worrying. So that is their problem. Staying ahead of the transformation whilst maintaining stability is the challenge of the mid-level we have today. But beneath that mid-level is a broader base, the operational support staff. These are the entry-level people, frontline system users, clerks, technicians, administrative and finance staff. They are often lower educated and all that. But they are the people that historically we know carry our workload. Heavy workload, they carry it. They have been heavily affected by automation. Now he or she doesn't have to enter 10 worksheets in 1 hour and try to achieve 100 so that his boss will say, well done. The clock-ins are done at security. ERPs extract the information from there and send them straight to HR. So at what point am I supposed to take the clocking card and go and now count? So the clocking card has lost its place because biometric check-in points have taken their place. These people are very frustrated. And at times you are beside yourself when you see that morale among them is low. But hey, the digital age is doing that to them. And the challenge for them is that reskilling is becoming very difficult because most of those people in that level are not driven like we are. You can imagine what those of us who are into various professional groupings, ACCA, ICAG, Institute of Chartered Taxation, and the time you spend studying and preparing for these qualifications, and there's nobody even there to say, I encourage you to do it. But you have money to have that drive, and you are where you are today. Unfortunately, our lower ends don't have that drive. They are the least driven, they are the least inspired, and everything else is catching up with them. And that is why we need to pay attention to building a workforce that is ready for tomorrow, because they, for instance, are the group that are far from reality of what is happening. These days, you find most people holding smartphones and they are watching TikTok. They are stuck at the entertainment level when the same smartphones could have made them a lot of money. And because they are not inspired, they don't look into anything further than that. And that is our operational level. But the digital age provides us opportunities. In public finance, we should look at the digital age as an age of opportunity. Why? Because when we embrace digitization, transparency and accountability is easy. You can query a computer on your desk if there is a good form of integration. And then whatever you want, it will sort it out and bring it. The challenge we have here is that in Africa, I don't know how it is in the other countries, but in our parts, I can comfortably say that our systems are not speaking to each other. My experience in security has shown me that you go to, let's even leave the finance systems, because the finance systems actually usually go to query the main social systems. If you go to DVLA, for instance, in Ghana, the Driver and Vehicle Licenses Authority, they have a very robust system which they use to record their information and tells you which vehicle has been registered. Once upon a time, I had the privilege of serving on a task force, and we wanted to access it, and it wasn't speaking to anything else. They said, no, you can't come in. Then you go to Customs Division. They have a very robust system that records vehicles and can trace for you the source of the vehicle by its vehicle identification number. So you go to them and say, please, can you give me access to this so that when I'm in the field and I see a suspected vehicle I want to arrest, I want to just check and be sure that I am not wasting the man's time. They say, no, you cannot come in. Now, the two of them cannot even come together and let their systems speak. Because if you look at the value chain, the vehicle moves from the port, where customs is in charge, straight to DVLA, where they register it. What is wrong with somebody just logging into the DVLA system and say, yes, what is the vehicle identification number? Your vehicle arrived 3 days ago in the port system and customs cleared you 2 days ago. No, your vehicle has not been cleared. This is fraudulent. Go back and do the right thing. But they are not speaking. The systems are not speaking. But all of them have invested in systems. And that is the need for the future. Digitization improves efficiency. Like I just indicated, you get call for information, and that is what leadership needs to work. Digitization ensures a data-driven decision-making. In the past, you need to draw on a lot of experience. And I know that I am looking at a crop of very senior accountants who in your various environments can just stand in front of me now and speak about where ERPs came into your system, how it had problems, all the challenges you have. You can speak intelligent about it. Unfortunately, the generation after you will not have that much time because the changes are happening so fast. Then digitization allows for citizen engagement. The trust that they were talking about in the previous presentation, that you'll be able to let people be sure. See, citizens get assured of what is happening in the public finance system if they know what is happening. And how do you put what is happening? You can only put what is happening out when you are sure that the figures you are putting out have been confirmed. Digitization ensures that. Then there is forcefully a transformation of the workforce from the old school to the new school. For public finance, we should embrace it because it has the future. What are our challenges? Why are we behind private sector? Infrastructure and connectivity. I just spoke about integration and the fact that they are not talking. That is one. But secondly, we appear not to consider our systems, digitized systems, a very strong support. So we treat them as the side gig. Oh, yes, the computer guys have come. Where is that man? He's the one who handles it. You show very little interest and hence little support for the progress that is the future of your organization. I do not have intention to criticize because that is what I do. So as I'm criticizing you, I'm using myself. When the computer guys, look, let me give you an example. There's an IT officer in my institution. Done. How many? Done. Complete. There is an IT officer in my institution who has been trying for the past 4 weeks to install a small application on my computer. And he has not been able to get my attention. Everything else does. And it just proves that we are not married to what the future is. So let me conclude quickly by jumping to the approaches that we think, and on my research we have found to address the problem of digitization in public finance. We are looking at it on the front of functionality. The first approach is the academic approach. It is a proposal that universities, who are the lead and the initial producers of accountants and account professionals, should redesign their curricula to include digitization and the ways they teach. The university should also embrace partnerships with the technology industry and let them come in. It's scary to let people just walk in like that, but hey, that is the future. You cannot deny our students. Then work-study models with public institutions, which they are doing gradually, would need to be stepped up. They also have to do research into Africa-specific public finance challenges. So it will be good if the investors encourage capstone projects that are looking at our public finance management system. The second group are the professional bodies. ACCA, ICA Ghana, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Institute of Chartered Taxation, and all these people. Surprisingly, these groups are very bold because they have raised successful students who are leading both in public and the private sector. So they can push their paper more. I can give witness of what is happening in ACCA because I am privileged to be the network panel chair and I see what they do. We have a handshake with Accountant General to push public financial management policy and encourage it. We have a handshake with Judicial Service to ensure that we encourage the understanding on or financial literacy of leadership so that strategic decisions would be made with less difficulty among others. The professional bodies have a responsibility to shape the battlefield. In the military, when we are going to war, we make sure that we shape the battlefield. If we agree that we are going to war tomorrow morning, like they did in the old times, we come to the place in the night and pour petrol or any combustible thing around the side that we know the enemy will be standing, so that when we fire the first shot, they can fall into it. It is the professional bodies who are leading the way with their CPDs. ACCA has been doing sustainability for 3 years ago, and sustainability is not even, reporting is not even applicable yet. We are looking at 2026, I think, before sustainability report. But they have been doing this for years, just to shape the professional group and to shape the market. Other issues are done, and we think that the professional bodies should put mandatory continuous professional development as a requirement like they are already doing, but with more sternness. Certification pathways should consider digital studies, and ethics frameworks should be updated to take care of the digital activities, because now most of the ethical problems we are about to have would be in that space. Then cross-border harmonization, they can lead it because ACCA is in Ghana, is in Togo, is in Liberia. So when we are harmonizing and they are leading it, for instance, it will help us. Then we also need to create specialist tracks in addition to the straight accountancy we are doing. Governments. When we talk of government, we are talking of all of us because we are part of the government public finance system. They are supposed to look at investing into the infrastructure. The infrastructure generally is weak. We need to strengthen it with some investment. Let's convince the political leadership of its importance. We need to strengthen cybersecurity laws. These days, very strange things are happening in cyberspace, and it is not comforting. But we need enforcement, so they should strengthen them. We need to integrate public financial management platforms nationally. Like I indicated to you, not only the social or the support systems like customs and DVLA need to be talking. All our systems should be well integrated and well secured so that the systems can be talking and helping us to do our research and getting everything quickly. Then we need to create incentives for digital learning. If you can, let's sponsor courses in the universities and let those courses give knowledge that will spread across, and every day we are shaping the financial space. Leadership development programs for senior managers, let's embrace them for ourselves, and then let's promote a culture of accountability backed by digital tools. Development partners are the last group I'm talking about now. We are encouraging to support open source and regionally shared platforms because they have the ability to do cross-border activities, and hence we are in Ghana here and they actually talk to people with much flexibility. So if our systems will have to be marrying each other, then the development partners are the key. They are supposed to also help us by avoiding donor-driven fragmentation, where one organization is supporting or one country is supporting and some partner comes and says, no, as for Ghana, we don't like these people. They have to find a way to make sure that the suspicions and the non-acceptable cultures are straightened out so that they can bring it together for the better good. Like I was saying, in ACCA, we believe that we are accounting for a better world. And I think that that technical ecosystem can help us. Then they can also help us with startups, with government. That was a long one. I hope that, oh, wait for it. You are dismissing me. The subject of digitization, in conclusion, is one that matters a lot because our future as states or nation states or even a continent or sub-regions is dependent on it. If we do not control our space as government finance and control the space of our private sector and control the space of the unregulated, very soon we'll become orphaned in our own countries. We'll be sitting on high chairs, we'll be called accountant generals, we'll be called auditor generals, we'll be called principal secretaries, but we do not move a fly. Little children, young fellows in your country will be moving millions of dollars that you cannot regulate unless we embrace digitization. I want to appeal that the suggestions I've put in so far will be embraced and will look into the future, because the future, as far as the digital age is concerned, is as close to us than the numbers that we see the calendar give us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. Audience, we're talking about your money, so prepare some questions regarding your bucket. PFM is how to manage your money, individually and government. So it's very important to raise some questions. The Colonel, he talks a lot as a digital and also his experience. Please, we will open questions for audience. Please, hand up. Anyone? Right, left? And also I will invite Deputy Accountant General from Gambia, Madam Clara Saint Mandy. Please, welcome. Madam Cara Adam is a certified chartered accountant, FCCA, with over a decade and the post-qualification experience in budgeting, cash management, bank account management, payment, processing, accounting, reporting, and administration. She has been developing deep technical and operational expertise, particularly through extensive use of IFMIS system to strengthen financial control and service delivery. She has several transformative public financial management reform, including the successful implementation of Treasury Single Account, TSA, and the establishing of robust asset management framework, which initiative underscore her strong commitment to promote transparency. Welcome. Can we go questions now? In the middle. Microphone, please.
Thank you so much, Colonel. That was a wonderful presentation. My name is Razak, Controller and Accountant General Department, Ghana. I was just thinking out loud from the standpoint of security. The growing number of youth unemployment, that is the demand for employment from those coming out from the schools, the security implication, as well as the implication of full adoption of IT and its implication on demand for reduced number of workforce. How do you marry the two? Because I don't know whether you've been thinking about it. There seems to be a paradox within that context, if you've been thinking around it. Thank you very much.
Yes. So that actually is a worrisome situation. What is happening today is that the youth are trying to find quick fixes to a problem that requires a lot of work. I'm sure you are chartered something. And once to be chartered means that you have gone through a lot of work to get to where you are. And interestingly, you are actually not paid for it as much. But these days, every other time you go and sit, even in the shopping mall, you see a young man holding a phone with lines across it, showing that the trade is going well or the trade is going down. He may not be formally trained and properly educated like you. That is one end of the spectrum. There is, however, another end of the spectrum. You would notice, for instance, that those who cannot grapple with understanding trading online are grappling with understanding betting. He's holding his phone. He wants to make some money. They say the money is now in the phone. So a lot of the youth are beginning to dare into areas that you and I know that it's risky, and hence we maintain a very high aversion to it. Betting has become a problem, and it's becoming a social canker. These are some of the impacts of digitization and unemployment marrying up. And if policies are not made quickly to solve the control of the digital space, a few other non-ethical things are likely to be introduced when people have nice ideas. And I will not be surprised when one of these days there is an online pyramid, because the online is unregulated. I'm in my bedroom, I can apply and put my money through Momo into the online thing. So the young people are beginning to have ideas. And if you observe, recently we also have a ring that have been playing with online payments that had to do with a food vendor. They were just arrested a few days back. Those are all the ideas that digitization is opening up. And hence, unemployment is not doing us a lot of good. But if our digital space is regulated and controlled, at least we'll pick up the problem and enforce the correction. I hope I have tried to. Okay.
Out from school, if they are not sort of going to self-employment, the issue is that they'll be looking at the central government for employment. So if government adopts full IT, it will need less workforce. However, what is being churned out is on the high side. So there seems to be a widening gap. And that has a security implication. I don't know if you've been thinking about it, because that, if we do not look at it from that lens, sometimes into the future, it may kind of catch up on us. Thank you very much.
All right. I get the security. Our security threats are reviewed and revised every day, and I must be frank with you. These concerns have been discussed. Unfortunately, it is not going to be solved by one sector. All of us would have to pick up bits and pieces that can correct the situation. So I hope that the fact that you have highly identified it like this, we will not end at this point, but begin to be more active at facing it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to, my name is Dr. Thomas Hasibi. I just want to draw the attention to the implication of cyber threats to our institution and public sector financial management issues. If you speak to an accountant or you speak to those of us managing public finances, you realize that there is high lack of understanding of the digital ecosystem that need to be saved for us to produce an efficient or a trusted financial statement. And I keep on saying this. If we cannot trust the system, we cannot trust the financial statement that is produced. So what it means is that every accountant here or in the continent of Africa must take the interest to make sure that they understand the cybersecurity implications as it is applicable to the production of financial statements. When we do that, that is where trust starts from. Because we can hold individuals accountable, we can hold institutions accountable, and we can also hold stakeholders accountable. In that way, we'll build a strong and trusted financial statement coupled with transparency, and the trust in the systems, the economy will be higher, because we know that each thing that is produced, each individual will be whole accountable. So please, let us take interest in the digitalization. Let us take interest, especially, even our phones can be hacked. We hack your phone, we watch you, everything you are doing. Or we even come onto your laptops and we are sitting there. And we can check all what you are doing to the extent that we can even know your movement until the hacker attacks you. So if you are not very interested in some of these things, you have problems. And when there is one breach in an institution, it means that the trust level will come down. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
General, thank you for a well-delivered paper. My own contribution from here, Dr. Olusola is my name, from Nigeria. From what you have said, if collaboration is put in use, the digital space can be used to annex most of these problems that we are facing. You talk about the issue of customs service collaborating with licensing authorities. If that is done, we won't need the number of custom officers at our borders, because eventually, when the vehicle are processed, they will be cut, and the revenue that is being lost will be gotten. And once we know that there is collaboration, smuggling will reduce. And this will affect our economy and other things, because the word integrity is not a dictionary word, it's an action word from what you have said. And from your position as a military man, integrity is a watchword. I was once with Nigeria for 1 year, and what it takes when you're talking about integrity. If the kind that is embedded there are used in other ministries and the rest of them, not only our country, the whole globe of Africa will benefit from it. I think there should be a legislation take home from here is that our individual country parliament should be encouraged to enact a law whereby the digital space will be used for all the agencies to collaborate so that the ease of governance will be effected. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. He has made a point, so I will not need to react to it. The point is very strongly made.
Chairman, thank you very much. And Colonel, we are very grateful. What we want to do is to look at the country perspective of the issue at stake. It is likely we might have some shared experience. And so we would thank you and humbly ask that you resume your seats, Colonel. Thank you very much. Whilst we bring, Chairman, Chairman, you have not finished your job yet. Yeah. While we bring Mr. Kiba Clement Matthew, I think I got your name right, from the Ministry of Communications, Science and Technology, who is the Director of ICT, Lesotho. Yeah, please, a round of applause for him as he comes. Ms. Clementina Milwema, Milwell, please pardon me if I'm breaking down your name, Head of Finance and Accounting Unit, Electoral Commission of Zambia. Please, a round of applause for our discussants. And so, Chairman, with your indulgence, we'll start with First Lady. She's been here earlier on, to give us her country perspective on the topic, and possibly if there's any experience to share that can undo and unravel the mystery around technology in public financial management. Thank you very much. Then from there, Chairman, you can control. Thank you.
Thank you. I will invite Clar from Gambia, Deputy Director.
Good afternoon, Session Chair. Good afternoon, Colonel Carl, and good afternoon to our distinguished participants and to my fellow discussants. Just to applaud the Colonel Chair for that insightful deliberation. It has actually left me empty-handed because you've actually talked about all the discussion points I have for the participants this afternoon. Of course, I'll be deliberating or providing a country perspective on this same topic of looking at the public finance workforce. I would want to say, to some extent, I want to differ, especially on this point of the involvement or the accountants within the public sector vis-a-vis the accountants within the private sector. From a country perspective, we're actually encountering finding it very difficult to attract and retain professional accountants, primarily because of the disparity in terms of remuneration between the private sector and the public sector. Also, another contributing factor is because the private sector can be very dormant. It's not as vibrant as the private sector. So as such, if you're actually looking at working towards a career progression, it's not an environment that is interesting. So from a country perspective, it's definitely very difficult, and that has actually impacted on our service delivery because we are unable to attract and retain professional accountants. A case in point is with our IFMIS. We had a team that worked on this IFMIS, but after the project implementation, almost all of them left with only a few left involved in the current or were subsumed into the government system. So as such, it's a problem. Now, coming back to what the skills, the competency gaps are within the PFM workforce, having Gambia, the Gambian perspective. Within the public sector, we have a problem in terms of the digital and the technological skills. And we're not only looking at the technical expertise in terms of systems, that's the IFMIS, but we're also looking at this issue, the problem of having systems segmented, like we had, we had in the presentation that has been concluded recently. Where you have systems and they are, you have them proliferated all over the place, in as much as it's there to serve a purpose, but you would not, or one would not optimally benefit from those systems. So that's one of the gaps. And of course, we are all aware, or must accept the fact that cybersecurity has been a concern. And as far as government is concerned, it is almost impossible to attract and retain professionals along those lines because you can hardly remunerate them. Of course, looking at the other perspective, which is the PFM practices, of course, I will be looking at what is typical within most of the African countries. Of recent, we have so many, or most of the public finance practices that have been introduced, that for which there has been so much deficiency. And here we are looking at the performance-based budgeting, which of course we will always consent to the fact that it is far, in terms of implementation, it's really a problem, ensuring that we have a program-based budget that is aligned to international best practice. We also have the green and the sustainable PFM, where we ensure that budgets incorporate or ensure that the budget is sensitive to the environment. This is an emerging reporting requirement which is equally, for which we are deficient. Then one would have the adoption of fiscal rules, in as much as one would consider that it's a simple fix, but if you look at the implementation of program and policies vis-a-vis the physical deficiencies in system, it is far from what we're looking at as a country. So now, aside that bit, we want to look at the issue of leadership and change management, because I am of the view that irrespective of the systems, irrespective of the policies, if the leadership and the change management system are ineffective, then we would not have much, or achievements would have been limited. During the presentation, we made mention of the realities on the ground, where irrespective of the mandate you are given, at some point, one is constrained. Therefore, there is the need for competencies along the lines of ensuring that one maneuvers within the leadership or within the change management system. Because as a financial officer, remember that when you manage the resources, you're kind of between the wall where you have the politicians and also where you have the citizens, and you are there to satisfy both parties. So it cannot be a fight, so it has to be a kind of a notch. And here is the instance where one is expected to put on your professional cap. And for the fact that the legal instruments are available, usually this is the tool that accountants can leverage on. Because in as much as the executives in some instance would want to prevail on the accountants to do, maybe not as per what the law requires, but the legal tools are there to help safeguard professional accountants. Like the presenter or the session presenter indicated, of course, these gaps would result to inefficiencies in the system. Also, when the right resources are not available within an institution, meaning that public service delivery would be deficient. As we speak, we all know that IFMIS is the bedrock as far as financial management reporting is concerned. But without the required resources in terms of the capacity, in terms of IT, the capacity in terms of application, then it would be very difficult for us to achieve. Finally, I just want to encourage all the accountants in this room to say this burden of the workforce or the workforce in terms of the digital requirements or the transformative process has been given to us. And we would definitely have to hold on to the burden and hand it over to the next generation. But this will require resilience because it is just normal that one would want to maintain the status quo. Therefore, having to penetrate the norm would usually require that one be very resilient. And as we are aware that automation closes so many loopholes in terms of managing finances or ensuring that their corruption is curbed. But whenever you want to bring on board this bit of digitization, one would always encounter resistance. But the fact of the matter is, as a professional accountant, irrespective of what happened, one is expected to ensure that the stewardship that has been entrusted to us, we uphold it with dignity. So on that note, I wish to thank you all, and I look forward to everybody going home with this takeaway to say, or the takeaway that the baton is passed on to you as an accountant who is supposed to champion digitization, and as such, the baton you wouldn't have to drop this until you pass it on to the next generation. And all you need to do is to ensure that one is resilient in the entire process. Thank you.
Thank you, Rar. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are we hungry? I'll be very brief. As I was introduced, I'm Clementina, coming from Zambia. I just want to share the Zambian perspective on the digitalization. I'll be very brief. So where I come from, there are some policies that the government has put in place and some programs that are helping the country to embrace digitalization. The first one is the Zambia Devolution Support Program. This program is being supported by the World Bank. and its interest is to see that there is prudent financial management in the local governments, and also to promote effective service delivery to the Zambian people. The second program is the one being run by the Center for the Rehabilitation of the Paralyzed and M Life Foundation. This program is an initiative to empower persons with disabilities through specialized training in computer and office applications. It is also sensitizing the underprivileged in the electronics and mobile phone servicing, as well as dressmaking and tailoring. Getting from our main speaker, he mentioned about the accountants being one of those policymakers that are usually found in the boardroom. So the Zambian government, through the regulator ZICA, Zambia Institute of Chartered Accountants, carry out a lot of programs for accountants, internal auditors and external auditors. Usually these are done in collaboration with SCCA and CIMA as professional accountant programs. These are done usually every quarter. There are some programs that are being carried out by this institute. The other bit is on the Zambia Public Procurement Authority. This is our regulator that is in charge of all the government procurements, where the institute is now sensitizing a lot of SMEs, as the government has made it mandatory that all government procurements have to be done through the e-government procurement system. This is to encourage the SMEs and also to enhance their skills for them to be able to participate in the tenders that are running online. Previously in my country, we would do tenders outside the system, but we found that there were a lot of flaws, a lot of corruption that was going on. Therefore, the government from last year, April, made a policy to state that all the government procurements will be done through the EGP. The other program is what the Zambia Revenue Authority has introduced. Going forward in my country, Zambia, all the SMEs are being encouraged to register for their smart invoicing. This entails that there is no manual invoice that is going to be accepted by the Revenue Authority. This is also to help, the country to block all the leakages, the illicit cash flows that we learned about yesterday. We are saying that going forward, as you do your e-smart invoice, you need to link it to your taxpayer identification number. So if you are an SME, every invoice that you issue will be linked to all the incomes that come through your TP number. Other programs include the Bongo Hive digital marketing training. This is also looking at the SMEs that are receiving training in digital marketing. As we've been told, the digitalization is the future for all of us. This will enhance the online marketing and also the e-commerce transactions that will be happening in our country. The others are Airtel Africa Foundation, Take for Her. This is a program that is encouraging the young ladies or young women with high demand skills like Linux administration, cybersecurity, and data analytics. This is helping the young ladies and the girls to sell their products online and be able to collect their cash online without finding a trading space. So everything is being digitalized. The other program is Nokia and Airtel Zambia that is encouraging the youth entrepreneurship. This is offering the 8 weeks online program that promotes innovative thinking, entrepreneurship, and digital skill development among young Zambians. Then there's also our Smart Zambia digital literacy that is offering some skills for the target youths and women, as this is the policy of the Zambian government that we should be inclusive and do not leave anyone behind. In terms of the financial management, as you may be aware, as Zambia, we have fully implemented and embraced the Treasury Single Account and IFMIS processes. This entails that we are doing all the payments and other processes in the IFMIS. This has made things easier and also has promoted the transparency and accountability for the public funds. The other program is a program that is encouraging the auditors. So there's a forensic audit and investigation skills enhancement that is happening. This is to help the auditors be able to audit and stop corruption using the e-systems. Then lastly, Zambia has also embraced the IPSAS, cash basis accounting. All the reports from 2 years ago are now being done using the IPSAS. We are yet to go the IPSAS accrual basis. Lastly, the Republic of Zambia has introduced what we are saying National Electronic Government Plan, the NEGP. This plan aims to digitalize public services, enhance digital infrastructure, and promote digital literacy for all the public service. In terms of human resource, the government has implemented the electronic human resource management. This is to improve the human resource decision-making, and they are linked to the financial management system. This is to avoid the ghost workers, as we heard yesterday that this is rampant in the public service. Thank you very much.
Let me start first by paying my respect to our Accountant General from all over African region, to you, my Accountant General from Somalia. Can you hear me? All right. And also, let me thank for this opportunity that I've been given to present about our case study in Lesotho. The first question that I was requested to address was that how will Lesotho integrate in digital transformation into public sector, human resource, and succession planning frameworks. Here, in short, what I can say is that as a country, we does have a formal public sector human resource frameworks, which is anchored in the Public Service Act, and we also have human resource policy manual. We also have managed to establish management policies and so other initiatives in regard to this topic. And lastly, there is what we call the leadership development. That is the one that we have also established, which is the institution within the government, which is the one used to train a public servants. This institution is called the Lesotho Institute of Public and Administration Management. We also have what we call Center for Assessment and Development when acquiring new skills and into the government sectors. Now, succession planning is recognized within the public service reform agenda, but it's not yet fully institutionalized across all ministries. Digital transformation is being interpreted mainly through these ongoing reforms. Ongoing reforms and building a leadership pipeline capable of managing modernized digital systems. In short, what I can say is that we have frameworks which exist. The reform direction is clear, but all systems-wide succession planning and digital capability integration are still maturing. The government of Lesotho, I can say that is approaching the reform through what we call, how do I put this? Let me say that early last year, the government, as a Ministry of Communication, we were requested to make sure that by all means, we try to transform the country into digitalization. So we start by developing a national digital policy, a national digital transformation policy. And those two documents were the guiding principle and which are going to guide us on how to proceed. That strategy framework, they also include Lesotho Public Service. Let me put it this way. In that strategy, in order to implement some of the pillars in the strategy, the government of Lesotho with the UNDP, we got a funding to have a project called Lesotho Public Sector Foundation for Service Delivery Project. This project, one of the core components is explicitly it's about human resource management and organizational transformation. It aims at strengthening the public services capacity to manage their workforce more strategically and like that. Going further, I can say that project, among others, includes building shared digital platforms. For example, to make sure that we utilize the use of digital ID in our government sector, and also on how to do a data change. And this platform that improves how public servants are managed, how data on human resources is stored and used, and also on how different parts of the government coordinate. This project also includes a digital solution that can help within the workforce planning because they allow for more accurate real-time data on civil servants. Furthermore, training and organizational transformation will be undertaken through this project. Public servants will be reskilled not just to do their current jobs, but to operate in a more modernized and digitalized as a public servant. I was also asked the question to clarify on how to describe how workforce strategy are aligning with government broader digital agenda. So in this one, I would say that workforce strategy are aligned with government's broader digital agenda by first ensuring that the whole of government understand the national digital transformation strategy. That is the one that I told you that early last year we were directed to make sure that we have that a blueprint which guides us on how to proceed. Our Ministry of Communication was mandated to make sure that this is
Just
transformation.
a few minutes, yeah. We will close. Time is up.
Thanks.
Time is up.
Okay.
Conclude.
Okay. All right. So, secondly, we have been under this transformation strategy. We have already under that project that I've mentioned that we have been assisted by UNDP. We have just developed what we call enterprise architecture. Enterprise architecture is the one that is a blueprint of how technology, process, data, and organizational structure should evolve across the public sector in relation to aligning workforce strategy with broader digital agenda. I think I haven't even got up to half. You want to stop? Can I stop?
Thank you very much, my guests. I want to close this session, but I want to summarize what we are talking about, the public finance workforce. As I said before, there is two parts, public finance force and the digital. You know, we have, when I heard all those things, we are facing looming talent gap due to the retirement, the need for modern financial tools, recruitment difficulties, more difficult for public sector to attract and hire new finance and IT professional, example, salaries and benefits gap. The other thing is we must modernize our skills, rethink budget teams structure, modernize financial tools, and prioritize. Improve recruitment, make hiring process more attractive by incentivizing hiring, reducing unnecessary degree requirements, and highlighting the advantage of public finance jobs. Work-life balance and job stability. And number 3, retain current talent, invest in by clear path. 4, professionalization of a workforce is a critical step for achieving essential financial reforms within public sector. If you look at future workforce, we need digital and data literacy, number 1. And number 2, we need technical skills like coding, data visualization, digital tools. Number 3, we need individuals who can bridge the gap between finance and technology. Thank you very much for your patience and have a good evening. Thank you very much, and we close.
Please, let's show some appreciation. Thank you. You may resume your seats. Thank you for the experts' contributions you've given to the subject matter. Thank you very much. We are grateful, especially giving us your country perspective. Let's take these few announcements, then we can go out for lunch. When we come back, we're going to have a session on from manual to digital, automating government services to drive efficiency transparency, and citizen trust. That would take place in the upper room. Then the Treasury Single Account Reform, advancing fiscal discipline, transparency, and service delivery will take place here. Let's take note. That one will take place here. Then the future-focused accounting, embedding sustainability and intergenerational equity in public finance. That would go to Committee Room 2. Committee Room 2. Then the cost of risk, unraveling the true value of government's commitments and complex projects. That would go to Committee Room 1. Let's take notes. So please, we are far behind time, and we don't want to be surcharged for causing financial loss, having tabled all these topics and not being able to go through them by the end of the day. We don't also want to stay too late here, so please, we're all going to the grand arena. We've done the segregation. The AGs have a place to go. Once you get there, you'll be directed. AGs, invited guests, speakers, you have a special place. And let's try that maximum 1 hour. We'll be back. Thank you very much. Enjoy your lunch. The following people, as you go, are yet to complete their bank transactions. They have to go to the bank. Matiti, Cliff, Muga,